So again, thank you for all being here today. We're super excited to be able to tell you about what we do. So just a brief overview. So we're going to have an introduction, including what we're doing now, a short video. Then we'll have an overview on supported employment careers. And we're most excited for some special speakers. So we'll have a self-advocate, employment consultants, and a large employer of people with disabilities talk about what they do. And then we'll have time for information share out and general questions. Some general housekeeping before we get started. We do want this to be interactive. The presenters are super excited to be here today. After each presentation, we'll make some space for questions. You can use the raised hand feature at the bottom of Zoom or put your question in the chat and we will read it aloud. And again, we'll have time for questions at the end. We do also ask that you mute yourself if you're not speaking, as it can be distracting. If there are any other accessibility needs, please put them in the chat. If you need anything during this meeting specifically, you can message our behind the scene person, Cassie Glenn, and she'll help work out some of those things. So with that, I'm going to talk about us. So this was put on by System Partners is what we call ourselves. That is employment providers, teachers, employers, parents, county representatives. And we've been meeting since May 2023 to talk about how could we improve the work that we do or the field of work that we do. We're all passionate and we all love working with people with disabilities, and we want everybody else to experience what we feel. As we've been meeting, we had one common thread, and that was that we all stumbled into this field of work. A lot of us didn't know what it meant to work with people with disabilities. A lot of us just wanted to help others, and we found this amazing field and we've stuck with it. So we have a lot of experience in this room today, and we hope that we inspire you to consider working with adults with disabilities in employment services. So today you might hear some different terminology. We call it field speech. So I was just hoping to break some of that down because we do intertwine some words. The first thing that you might hear, and you probably already heard me say it, is supported employment or employment services. So what that refers to, it's a program that assists people with developmental or intellectual and developmental disabilities, or IDD for short, to find and maintain employment in their communities. So if we do mention acronyms, we will try to explain what those are. And if not, just put it in the chat and we'll be sure to clarify. We also use the word client or participant interchangeably, and that refers to the person or the individual who is receiving these employment services. Another one that we use a lot is nonprofit, employment provider, employment agency, organization, or vendor, and that refers to the companies who provide those employment services. We actually have a number of them here today that have been participating in the development of this presentation, including SCAC, ProVail, At Work, Northwest Center, just to name a few. And then you'll also hear the words employment consultant, employment specialist, job coach, or employment support professional. You might hear job coach, probably that's more the layman's term. If you've ever seen that out in the community or heard about it. And that's the job title of the employee who is providing the employment services. So that's the person out in the field helping the person with the disability. Maybe you've seen that before. I know I always look out for it, and it's fun to see. So with that, we're going to share a very short clip of an individual named Tanya. And Tanya is what we call a supported employee or a client, and she actually works through the Microsoft Supported Employment Program. It's really fun to see how empowered she is and how much she loves her job. and how much her supervisors and coworkers enjoy having her here. And we show this video because if you were to work as an employment consultant, you would be supporting individuals like Tanya in achieving workplace success.
Tanya is loading pallets in the warehouse.
Hello, my name is Tony Harris. I work inside the warehouse.
Tanya's biggest strength, I would say, is definitely her speed and obviously her fun personality, too. My name is Melissa Barley, and I am the branch office manager for South Moving here on
Sorry.
campus. Tanya mainly maintains all of our crates and some of our inventory account.
Tanya is cleaning crates.
I'm trying to learn new things. At first, I learned how to clean the crates.
From that, we just expand to what can you handle? Do you feel comfortable doing this? And she's always right there. Yes, I am.
Also, since 4 years, I've been working here, and now I do more work.
Tanya is doing paperwork.
Here's the other ones.
Thank you. Some office work like filing, scanning, copying.
Anything that we ask her for her to do, she's really picks up really quickly, and we definitely say she's one of our best employees here.
It feels good, and I'm so happy and excited, and I like it. I enjoy it.
Learn more at aka.ms/support.
So yeah, that was just a brief video. And we actually have the Microsoft Support Employment Program talking today, which is super exciting.
Employment.
So before we get into, I do have some more data to share. In King County, there are 2,397 clients receiving employment services, which is huge. You might hear us mention this, but Washington is super progressive and has really high employment rates with for people with disabilities. And as I mentioned that, 1,682 individuals are employed in King County through the Supported Employment Program. And there's 25 employment providers in King County that do the work. It's pretty much same thing, different names. We're all in it together. And as I mentioned, there's several of them here today, and some of them are going to present. So I'm going to pause before our next speaker. Are there any questions or overall thoughts? I see one comment in the chat, just reminding us all to speak slowly as we do have simultaneous interpretation here. I see some cheers for Tanya. She's been there for over 10 years now. So any other questions or thoughts before we move on to our first speaker? Okay, without further ado, I'm here to introduce Chloe Rosenfield. Chloe's a manager at Provale. And yeah, she's excited to share her experience with you all. So.
Hello, I hope you all can hear me. I'm Chloe. Like TJ said, I work at Provale. I'm a program manager for the Seattle team. I did start my career as an employment consultant first, and then now I lead a talented team of employment consultants. When I was 6 years old, I was diagnosed with severe dyslexia, so I was pulled out of class and put into special ed. And that just firsthand showed me how segregated people with disabilities are from our community and really sparked my passion and knew that I wanted to work with people with disabilities for the rest of my life. And in my free time, I volunteer with Special Olympics and I coach a bowling and bocce ball team. And I've been also involved with Special Olympics for 12 years. So a little bit quick history rundown about what support employment is, or the history that has been going on. So in the 1970s, the shift from sheltered workshops to community inclusion for individuals with disabilities started. Then in the 1980s, introduction of support employment focused on workforce integration, emphasis on the job support and for success. Then in the 1990s, support employment formally recognized and funded by the Developmental Disabilities Administration, which is DDA, and federal programs. And that brings us to today, a proven model connecting individuals with disabilities to meaningful employment, fostering independence and diversity in the workforce. So, what is an employment consultant? An employment consultant is what we're all here talking about, and that is someone, it's a career path. And as an employment consultant, you help individuals with disabilities find meaningful jobs. So, what that entails is when you're an employment consultant, you have a caseload. On average, you have a caseload of around 10 individuals. Everyone's at completely different parts in their career journey. Some people already have jobs. Some people, it's going to be their first job, and some people just want a job switch, like anyone who's been working at one place for a long time wants to switch it up. So there's three main phases in this role. So the first one is discovery, super fun phase. That's really where you're just getting to know the individual, getting to know their skills. You might be going out in the community and doing some work trials to see how if that could be a good fit or not. You can get super creative. So that's the discovery phase. And then job development phase, I'll talk a little bit more about this phase in a moment, but that is where you're connecting with the community and businesses to find that right fit position for that individual. And then once you find that hopefully perfect fit job, that leads into coaching and ongoing support. Um, and through all of that, we are always advocating and doing advocacy. We are educating employers on workplace inclusion and the hiring benefits for individuals with disabilities. Throughout all of those phases and just within this role, there is documentation. So there is daily case notes. And we're also creating goals for the years for the participants, as well as annual plan paperwork and all that fun stuff. But the majority of the role is really that direct service work.
Idiin sameyno.
Was that a question?
Qof su'aal qaba miyaa jira?
Oh, the movie and the interpreters. Does anyone else hear that?
Qof su'aal qaba miyaa jira?
I'm hearing it, Chloe. Yeah.
Okay, we can move forward. So, job development, what I mentioned before, this is so being an employment consultant is a very unique position. And when you're helping someone find a job in that job development phase, this is where you're probably not going to be looking on Indeed for someone because a lot of people were doing customized employment. So, what customized employment means is that we are finding the unique skill or the unique needs of a business and matching that with a participant and their expertise and skills in certain parts. So instead of looking on Indeed for a 40-hour work week, some people might be wanting to look at that, but a lot of people we're going to be maybe looking at a 2-hour shift twice a week. So that's where that customization really comes in, and we're finding that win to win with the participant and with the business. And again, it's another very creative phase. You're going out and about in the community. You're printing off the individual's resume. You're going and you're connecting, networking, and it's the most salesy, I guess, part of the job. And of course, you get lots of training before you're thrown into this phase. But I think it's a lot of fun. To the left is Alex, and he's also known as Fancy A. and he works for the city of Seattle. So we really don't limit of where anyone can work and where we're looking for jobs. So this is a fun little visual of showing all the different industries where someone might be working and or we have people working at these industries right now. So some of these examples is retail, grocery stores, landscaping jobs, city jobs, tech companies, the list goes on. There's really no limits to where someone can work. Which then leads into job coaching. So first you did discovery, then you found them their job in job development, and then now you're in the coaching. So this is the majority of the employment consultant's role is job coaching, and that is where you are creating visual aids, task lists, helping them create natural supports with their coworkers and building that relationship. So someone on the job that they feel comfortable talking to. Our main goal as employment consultants is to first never do that person's job for them. And second, it's always to help them gain their independence. So with anything we're doing in the coaching, we're always thinking about how can we get ourselves out of that equation and watch them gain their independence. And this is so fulfilling to watch someone from the beginning of when they first start a job to then you start fading support and you maybe just check in with them for 30 minutes out of their 2 hour shift. It really can look different and unique for every single individual we serve. So day to day for an employment consultant can look a bit different. That's, I think, to me is the fun part because it's very dynamic and it's not boring where you just come to work, you sit down for at a desk for 8 hours and then you leave. And that's okay if you love that, but that's not going to be the job for you then because every day is going to be a little bit different. Of course, you'll know the job expectations, everything will be laid out to you. And this is just an example, but your morning might look like you might go out in the morning and job coach and help troubleshoot some challenges that they have at their work and implement some task lists or something like that for them. Then midday, you might go out and about in the community and go and job develop. You might write some of your case notes and have lunch. Then in the afternoon, you might have a meeting with a participant to plan their goals for the year. Then you might also go and job coach again at a different job site, and then maybe you have your team meeting. So it can look different, of course, for everyone. And the big main theme with this job is that it's dynamic and there is some flexibility. So there is those chunks of time of when your coaching shifts, but in between those times, it's on you to go and job develop, set up meetings for discovery, set up meetings for goal planning. And there's just a lot of dynamic parts that you're moving in your calendar. So some growth opportunities. Every agency has different growth opportunities. These are just some examples, and because I work at Provale, this is where my mind was at when I was thinking about growth opportunities. But at Provale, we have everyone comes as an employment consultant one, and then you have the opportunity to become employment consultant two. We have senior employment consultants, transition specialists, program managers, training managers, a regional director, associate director, and director. So lots of different rooms to grow. And because there's always lots of work to get done in this field, we're always getting creative of figuring out of sometimes we customize our own jobs in this field as well. Requirements for becoming an employment consultant. Education, we are looking for at least a high school diploma or something equivalent. Some roles it is preferred if you have a bachelor's degree in human services or some related field like that. But we've also seen huge success of people coming from majoring biology and then coming into this field. So there's really no limitations of your background. With skills, we've seen people be successful if you have strong communication, problem solving, organization, being patient, empathetic, just a kind individual goes a long way. Other requirements is it is really key to have reliable transportation with this job since you are going to job site within the region. So having reliable transportation and a driver's license. And I'll talk more about what it looks like with mileage reimbursement and all. And every agency usually has regions, and so we're not asking you to drive crazy amounts. It's more just like within that region for every agency. Leads to benefits. So benefits first, every agency, the pay range is big. So it's a big range. And when you're looking at the job, you'll see specifically each agency of their wage range, and you can get more information of where you could land in that. But it's around 23 to 28 an hour. It is a 40-hour work week, usually Monday through Friday. And then some benefits at different employers may include, and most, I think all do include like medical, dental, paid holidays, vacation, sick time, mileage reimbursement, and then some other ones might have AAA. I think all of them also offer CPR since it's a requirement as well. So definitely like lots of different benefits there. And of course, it's a huge, meaningful impact. So the job that you do is really impactful, and you get to see that impact right away. You get to get that person their first job, you get to see them learn a new task, and you're making a huge difference in that individual's life. It's also you're championing inclusion, you're breaking down barriers, and creating equitable opportunities for all, which is huge. This job is never boring. You're never looking at the clock because you're like going to different places, you're doing different tasks. So I think it's never boring. As I mentioned before, it's pretty flexible. Of course, you know the requirements of the job. You have your Monday through Friday, and then how you structure that out, and you'll have your manager to help you with that. You meet lots of people in the community, which is super cool. And also, your job is not, as an employment consultant, you're focused on just employment related activities. And so you are not responsible to drive anyone, any medication, SSI, housing, all that stuff. That is not on you. So the nice thing about this job as an employment consultant is that you're just focused on how to help someone get a job and stay at that job. And then some more benefits for the individual and the impact it has on our community. So it really builds the independence, confidence, and just improves the quality of life for our participants and people with disabilities. It creates more of an inclusive society, promotes self-sufficiency, increases community connection. Having a paycheck, I think everyone enjoys having a paycheck, and it also really expands people's choices, what they want to do with that money, and helps businesses to diversify their workforce. So this is just a few of the impacts that it has, and the list can keep going on and on. And I could keep going on and on about how much I love employment consultants and this career path. And I'm gonna end before questions with this quote, also from Alex, who was in one of the photos before. And he says, having a job is important because it makes me a good leader and helps me build a better future. And again, that's from Alex. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
How would you, hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hi. How would you deal with a child that have like anxiety issues with dealing with like large gatherings when you're trying to put them out there in the work field?
Yeah, that's a great question. So everything is individualized. We really get to know that person. That would go in the more discovery phase of figuring out how are we going to meet with that individual and where can we meet them at. And so if they are not a big fan of large gatherings, we would meet with them in a quiet space, and we also would find them a job that would be quiet as well. So it's very customized and figuring out how can we make that person feel comfortable and happy, and as long as however long that takes to find that good fit job, and also however long it takes for that individual to get comfortable with their employment consultant, build that relationship. But we've seen huge success with people who have a lot of anxiety plus a bunch of other barriers, and we find them really successful jobs where we can watch them really bloom, and I think they surprise themselves too of like, oh wow, like I can now be around more people and all that stuff. So we get creative, and we've found jobs for anyone and everyone.
Uh, are you guys connected to DDA services, or is this a different kind of organization?
Yep, we're connected with DDA and DVR. We're just trying to not go down that whole rabbit hole of DDA and DVR, and this is just overview of what employment consultant is. But yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then I see a similar question in the chat, which it looks like it was answered. So how much does the employee pay for this service? So services to the client or individual are paid for through the state. Like it's free to them. Yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's a great question. The employer does not pay to have you there or for you to be employed. So the employer only is just like, let's say if Trader Joe's is hiring one of your clients, they are hiring your client as like anyone else that they would hire. And then you just come along and you get, and your paycheck as an employment consultant is coming from the state.
So, would they have like special badges on them to let people know that they are special needs children? Because, at times people can not be understanding. And I know a lot of the kids might fall into different categories. So, well, when they are placed in the job sites, do they have badges to let people know like this person have this or this is child autistic, or I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, and we don't. It's I mean, it's up to the individual and their choice. Like if that's the individual's choice to want to put a badge on themselves, but I personally have never seen that with any of our participants, and it has never been a problem ever. And yeah, like people are just show up to work and they do their job, and if someone else wants to speak on that, but I have not seen that, and we do not disclose people's disabilities to anyone. That is not our job.
So I'd like to jump in. I just think the really cool thing about this opportunity as job coaches and employment consultants is that we all get to build what we call natural supports. So within the business that the person is placed, they have coworkers, just like all of us do, that are looking out for us, and bosses, the supervisors and others. Just if you build that support around folks, job coaches are there most of the time, all of the time, a lot of time in the beginning. But as we do our great work and build those natural supports, we are able to fade some support, but we've already built in all those great coworker supports and others in the environment. So I think that's another rewarding piece of the work. So hope that helps.
Looks like we have a question from Amber.
Yes, thank you. I was wondering if it's possible to have the speakers today share their personal contact information. I know there's several people on this call that would love to connect and reach out to the folks that are presenting. And I think this is spectacular. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So thank you.
Thanks for the live feedback. Presenters can put their stuff in the chat. And then I also have like a one pager at the end with all of 25 employment providers, their websites and phone numbers. But yeah, thanks for the feedback. That makes me feel good. And we're only, 37 minutes in. So hopefully we can keep that good energy going. With that, we're going to move on to a special presentation from Mr. Eric Mathis. Anyone that's worked in the field for a short or long period of time has probably come in contact or interacted with Eric. He does a lot of speaking and engagement and advocacy within the community. And so I'm going to share my screen and turn it over to the legendary Eric.
Thank you, TJ. This is great. On this slide is my contact info, and I'll be happy to share that in the chat in a little bit. My name is Eric Mathis. My pronouns is he, him, his, and I am happy to share a little bit about my job coach and experience. A little bit about me. I have done a lot of volunteering with different groups like self-advocates and leadership that's run by self-advocates. And it's a great way to be involved with state legislature and activities of different sorts. People First of Washington is a great organization that is also led by people with disabilities. And I'm currently a board member and as the Region 4 representative. It's a very awesome. Best Buddies, Washington chapter. I've been an advisory board for about 2 years now and enjoying it and lots of activities. I got paired with a best buddy throughout the last year or two, which is awesome. Great fundraisers that they also have. Also, I have been like a keynote speaker. I've emceed a few things, like the King County Legislative Forum, for example, like this last year, which was fantastic, and being involved with trainings and meetings. I do enjoy playing games on my PlayStation 5. Also, this last year with a friend of mine, I went to New Orleans for my birthday trip last year. And now we're planning on going to San Antonio, Texas in May of this year. A fun fact about me, I like to have anchovies on my pizza. For employment, my wonderful job that I love so much. I work for the King County, which promotes and protects the rights of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, so they can live, learn, work, and play in the community, improving the quality of life for all of us. It supports self-advocacy organizations and in the state of Washington that we call home, social media posts for outreach engagement events and civic engagement as well. Meetings. Oh boy. Also hybrid work since the COVID pandemic happened. I work 24 hours per week. That is very nice. And I got hired back in 2010. And this year I made a milestone and I worked 15 years. Next slide, please. 2 ways I could say my employment consultant or my job coach, as you can see here. We do a lot of different things when we meet, usually once a week or more, just depending on how much support I am asking for. We do weekly check-ins for about an hour when we're available during the week, when things come up in my schedule, and we figure out what we're doing. Also, my job coach asks me how things are going, also reviews my schedule. And that's where I share my screen and show her my schedule, what kind of meetings I have. And as well as in the process, she does ask me if I need any help or support with some of my job duties. Also, she also helps track my work time, and that's very helpful. Also, the job coach encourages healthy work life balance to separate work from personal. And I know that's hard for a lot of people, but do what we can anyway. Um, Also, she supporting with the work emails like grammar, forms, and work and tools that she could help me out with, which is really awesome. I appreciate that. Also, she also helps with asking to supervisor and my employer. So sometimes I have emails um I send to my employer or my supervisor and needing some support in how to ask. Sometimes with my quick responses in emails is probably not the best thing. So really looking at it and having my job coach support me does really help. And I am well appreciated of my job coach on that. To me, work is important because I like to stay productive and keep my mind working instead of sitting in a chair like I am today and watching movies all day. LOL. I like to keep my mind active, work wise, and it feels great to support advocates as a mentor, friend, a coworker, and colleagues. And it keeps me out of trouble. Uh-oh, just kidding. I always learn new things every day while I am working. I like meeting new people, especially in person. Zoom is great too, but sometimes it could be okay as well. But pretty soon I will be in person uh, in a new home where the ARCA is going to be living pretty soon this year, I believe. Also, making money helps me to be able to live on my own in the community, travel, pay for my own stuff like rent, groceries. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know.
Seeing
If
lots of
not, that's cool.
hand claps, Eric, lots of positive reactions when you shared that you just hit your 15-year anniversary. So congratulations to you.
Thank you very much, Eric, from the interpreter.
Well, we're proud of you. Thank you. You're inspiration to many of us.
You're quite welcome.
You do have a
Hey,
question.
Derek, same thing. You did a great job.
Thank
Great
you.
job on the presentation and good milestone.
Eric, you do have a question. What made you choose your job?
What? Say it again.
There's a question that said, what made you choose this job?
Advocacy and how I've been in advocacy for most of my life ever since when I was 30 years old, I believe. And I just want to keep going and never give up.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eric. And there'll be more time for questions at the end.
Sounds good.
We're going to move on to a presentation from Kelly. Kelly is somebody that joined the field in the last couple years with a lot of excitement and knowledge. And Kelly is super excited to be here and to present on why she chose this field and what keeps her here.
Well, thank you, TJ. Like you said, I just recently joined, so I'm an employment consultant. I've been working at Northwest Center which is a vendor, for about almost 2 years now, probably a year and a half, around closer. And I would like to share about my background and like kind of where I came from, so you kind of can understand a little bit about me first, and then talk a little bit more about what it means to be an employment consultant. So first off, I started working with individuals who have disabilities back in 2014. So I've been doing it for a little over 11 years now. It feels crazy to say that, but it's an amazing job and it's so fulfilling. I'll talk a little more about that my later slides here. So the reasons I got into this field is that I wanted to do something different because I did with children in the Renton School District for 8.5 years. And I kind of wanted to see why not work with adults who have special needs and how I can help them, because I've had other people come alongside me when I first started my careers and just working in general, that helped me along my path to being where I am today. So the disabilities I have dyslexia and a speech disorder. It has definitely um, opened my eyes as well, like Chloe said, like how differently and segregated it can be to be a person who has disabilities. And I want to break that so much. Want to break that barrier and to really show others that people who have special needs can do exactly what people who don't have them. So that's just a really something that I really want to do and continue to do. So it's wonderful to do it with adults now. I have done it with children. So yeah. So that's a little bit about me and my background and why I'm here. So you might be thinking, what does it take to become an employment consultant? Now, you don't have to have my 8.5 years or 11 years really of working with people who have disabilities. You can just love being an advocate, like Eric is. Eric is an advocate and does an amazing job at it. And we all advocate here as we are kind of telling you about this field. And just helping others. Like if you just want to help others and you have a heart for it, this is definitely a wonderful place to be and making a difference in the world, making it a better place. So some of like personality traits that I have found helpful is having patience. Patience meaning like patience with the clients or participants, having patience with your coworkers, natural supports, companies, etc. List can go on how you could be patient with other people and yourself sometimes. The creativity, finding ways to really support people with disabilities is, I think, really crucial. You don't have to be very creative in the artsy sense. That's not what I mean by that. I mean just like finding new ways to get them the client's support and what they need on a daily basis. Flexibility, like Chloe said, it has a kind of a flexible schedule as long and it's 40 hours. So if you work more than 8 hours a day, you can work more than 8 hours in one day. You can shorten the next day to accommodate your time. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And good time management. Definitely you have to have that in the sense of because you're trying to balance all of your 10-ish clients depending on your caseload. Yeah, it's just a wonderful job to be in. But yeah, those are some kind of key personality traits that would be helpful if you want to go in this field. And so what are the duties? Chloe went into really into detail. I'm just going to do like a brief overview. So you'd be advocating for your clients. That means like if you're doing the job searching, you would be going into companies and kind of like giving a spiel about your client and all of the things that they can do and how great they would be in addition to the team that's already in place at their company. Advocating in the sense of if your client already has a job, helping them have communication between them and their boss. list could go go on with advocating for your clients. But also you'll be working with DDA and DVR, which is like a funding source from the county. And you would help with getting their contracts in to having technology meetings with their IT department. So you'd be helping them with that. And then collaborating with coworkers and other vendors. This is something that has helped me so much, being able to talk with coworkers and with other people from different companies, learning their strategies, and like just having a team behind you. You're not alone. So that's another thing that's good about being an employment consultant. Go ahead, next slide. Okay, so about the benefits. You'll be able to support and help people who have special needs or disabilities. I've had the pleasure of working with clients who are deaf and hard of hearing. I've been able to use my American Sign Language, which I thought I would never use after high school, and being able to use that to help and to be an advocate in a totally different language. So if you have second language or third languages that you have, you can use those in this field, which is amazing. It makes me happy to use those, but also just helping other people. Like it's just a passion of mine. And if that's you, you should apply and be an employment consultant. Also, like you have a variety of work settings. You can work from home. You could work in the office. You could work at a coffee shop. I think it's like amazing, like all the different environments you could to work in and see as well. Like I said, flexible schedule. So if you're like a mom or a dad, and you're just like, well, I want to get back in the workforce, but how would that work? So there's some things that you can definitely do, having a flexible schedule. Last but not least, learning many kinds of different job skills is what you can put on your resume. If you think about all the things that you learn from working with these clients, you can add all that to your resume, which is a very good step, and just cool to add all those cool job skills on top of that. So yeah, it's a lot of benefits. And I put my info in the chat, but here's my number. Feel free to text me and let me know who you are first, of course. So I'm like, who is this random person calling me or texting me? Feel free to say, hey, this is so-and-so from the presentation. And then I'm very open to having an online chat, phone call, text message conversation for, like a little short meeting or more than that. I'm more than happy to do so. So I hope I made what I said made sense. I'm open to questions, so feel free.
Thank you, Kelly. Just for time's sake, we're going to roll into the next presentation and then you can ask questions of both of them. We have another really passionate and excited employment consultant that's put together a presentation. And so I'm going to share my screen and introduce Yuriko.
Thank you, TJ. For time's sake, I'm going to keep my presentation short and sweet. Hello, everybody. My name is Yuriko. I have been an employment specialist with SCAC for 9 years now. My purpose here today is to hopefully shed light on the type of work that we do, and hopefully to inspire some of you to think about it as a career choice, and just to share why I love what I do. And before I became an employment specialist, these were the jobs that I had before. After I obtained my BS in political science, I worked as an English language learner teacher in Spokane, Washington. And then I moved back to Seattle, and also, although I enjoyed working with middle schoolers or middle school students, I decided I wanted to try something new. And I kind of dabbled into the developmental disability um, space, but I worked as a direct support staff or a caregiver. And then when I started taking business school, I changed my mind again, I know. I decided that I was going to it would be best for me to be in a corporate space or be in the corporate world or the business world. So I ended up being at Southwest Airlines, where I found that the corporate world was not for me, definitely a no for me. So thank goodness my boss, Debbie, found me. And I found her and I became an employment specialist with SCAC. And I've been here for 9 years now and hopefully still counting. Sorry. And when I came to SCAC, I gradually realized that I found my purpose. There are key factors in finding one's purpose, and it's different for everybody, but these were mine. I knew I wanted to help others. I wanted a job that will help me grow professionally and personally, and that would challenge me, that would allow me to be innovative and creative, and also advocate and be an active member of my community. And last but not least, have a positive impact on somebody else's life. And being an employment specialist lets me do all of these things. And this is why I said yes to my job. And I'm not the only one that worked for this job for quite a long time. Here are some what of my amazing coworkers have said and my supervisors. You can go ahead and read them, but I'm not going to read every single one of them. But I find that every single one of them had said that it is a fulfilling field to be in. It's very impactful. They like having an impact on other people, a positive impact for that matter. And they just want it allowed them to be a part of their community in a way that they really didn't think that was possible. And that was true for me as well. So I know of course, I'm not here to talk about myself and how much I love love and what I love about my job. I also wanted to share with you today a very special story to me. It is about a person that I have supported in the past. And because she moved away, I no longer support her. But her name is Vida. I met Vida when she was working in the sheltered workshop as part of the pre-vocational program, which in 2018, the government decided that it was not okay for Vida and other persons with developmental disabilities to be secluded in a sheltered workshop, and that they should be working with the communities, which I totally agree with. So they got rid of the pre-vocational program, but it did have an impact on Vida and everybody like Vida and all of their families and their loved ones. They feared that sending their child or loved one to find a job in the community would be hard. They feared that employers might not be accepting, or worse yet, their child or loved one may not be as good as everybody else in their place of employment in the community. But Vida was so excited about finding a job in the community. Her mom, on the other end, was a little bit more skeptical. And this is why I love Vida's story. Vida's mom once told me that she could not imagine Vida being employed in the community other than being employed under the pre-vocational program and being in a sheltered workshop. She was worried that Vida wasn't going to be able to find a job in the community because she thought that Vida wouldn't learn anything else. other than what she had learned working in the sheltered workshop for the last 10 plus years. But Vida, being the go-getter that she was ready to take on the challenge and learn new skills. And she allowed me to help her to learn new skills, allowed me to give her new ideas of what she could become or what she could do, and allowed me to support her through that process. And finally, she landed a job at Red Robin. She began working 2 days, 2 hour shifts, 2 days a week, 2 hours a shift. And then a couple months into coaching her and building all these natural supports, she was able to increase her working hours to 3 days a week, working 2 hours a shift. And then in her second year of working at Red Robin, she moved to me going only twice or 2 times a week to job coach her. And then finally, it was only me checking in on her. So she really progressed and she became so independent and so successful at her job. And she created these network of people within her workplace that helped her be successful at her job. And I was only just a little bit, a fraction of what she was and how she became successful. And even though I supported her and it was only a fraction of her success, I feel very proud that I was part of Vita's story. And this is why I love my job. It's because of Vita, people like Vita and many others that I support. Next slide, please. So before leaving you today, I think if you are this person, you have passion for helping people, enjoy diverse responsibilities and work environments, you love community outreach and advocacy, love learning and teaching, I think you should definitely consider it as a career choice. I highly recommend it. And it introduced me to a whole new community of people of different backgrounds that work together for a common goal. And that it is to find meaningful employment for people that do want that. So any questions? Ask me anything.
So this is TJ. I'm just going to pause for questions for either Kelly or Eureka, both employment consultants, employment specialists who really enjoy the work that they do.
I have a question for Eureka. Eureka, since you knew Vita when she was in Prevoke and you also knew her when she was employed, did you notice any skills or a benefit that having employment was for Vita?
Oh, yes. Vita was more actively helping her mom at home. And I found that, her mom was letting her be more independent and doing things at home as well. So I found that very heartwarming because her mom would always try to do stuff for Vita. But then when I keep telling her mom, like, oh, Vita can do that. Vita knows how to do that. She was surprised and amazed. So, but she let Vita do all those things that she didn't think Vita could do at home, to do those. And I think that was something, and Vita liked doing that. And that was something that I found that was different about Vita. She was becoming more and more independent on her own, not just in the workplace, but also at home.
Okay, we have another question in the chat for either Kelly or Eureka. How to connect individuals with different disabilities as their job coach, such as those who are nonverbal. to getting employment or jobs?
I can speak to that first if you don't mind. So I actually have a good 3 out of my 10 client base that are nonverbal. And I have found multiple ways in which they can have jobs and things like that. So right now I am job developing, or which it means searching for a job for an individual who is nonverbal. There is a communication app called Proloquo, and it has opened a whole new world for him. So he's able to. I have done at least 3 interviews right now with him, with possible employers, by using that communication device. And he was able to answer all their questions. And so, yes, there's definitely opportunities for people who are nonverbal. I've worked with them, a lot of them actually. So even in my paraeducator days, teacher assistant days. Do you want to add to that?
Oh, I just wanted to add as a reminder that all of the people that we work with and all of the jobs that we try to get people are very customized. So it is very important to get to know your participant or the person that you're working with. It is because you can't connect them to anybody else if you can't connect with them. So it is very important to do that.
I agree.
Awesome, thank you. We're going to move to our last presentation. We have Rachel Cross here representing or talking about the Microsoft Supported Employment Program. Just so it all makes sense, so we have our employment vendors, Kelly, Eureka, Chloe, who work with individuals with disabilities to find employment. So the Microsoft Supported Employment Program is a really great program that partners with everybody that I've mentioned. So Chloe can probably describe that a little bit better, but just trying to help put the pieces together.
Thanks for that, TJ. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be hard to follow Vita's story and everything else. That was really lovely. But hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Cross. I am here to share information about Microsoft's Supported Employment Program and kind of give you the perspective of an employer in this situation, so somebody who wants to hire a person with a disability. Pictured to the right here, this is Chloe Knowles. She works in one of the cafes here on the Redmond campus at Microsoft, and she's also a supported employee. We'll go to the next slide to give you a little bit about my background. I have a bachelor's degree in community psychology. I was a job coach, and then I managed a team of supported employees before joining the Supported Employment Program team about 2.5 years ago. And then the next slide. Microsoft's mission with this program is to partner with vendors and local employment agencies to create job opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities who might otherwise be overlooked in the job market. And Microsoft's Global Workplace Services organization is who owns this program.
waxaan iskale barnaamijkan shaqaalaha Microsoft adduunka dhan ka shaqeeya ayaga ayaana u maamulo barnaamijkan si ay dadka u caawiyaan ayagaana caawiya dadkan si ay shaqo u helaan.
With a bunch of different pictures of supported employees doing different jobs all over the world. This is a global program, so you'll find people doing jobs in dining, catering, and events, working in the lobby, janitorial, mail and package handling, landscaping, human resources, the list goes on. But one commonality that all of these folks have is that they work with a job coach. Then I'll talk a little bit about the program values. So Microsoft is committed to creating real job opportunities with real pay and flexibility where employees are integrated into the work environment, they're given career growth opportunities, and they're able to work in the community that they live.
Hey, Rachel, I think Eric has a question, and I'm wondering if
it's more of a comment, down. Just wanting to have you slow it down a little bit, but still keep going.
Yeah. Yes, I will do that. Thank you, Eric.
You bet.
Okay. On the next slide, I will slow down. Great. So what I really want to focus on here is, again, the employer's perspective and why job coaches are so important. On this slide, you'll see 3 different quotes from managers that work at different supplier companies to Microsoft, and they're talking about their experience and the benefits of working with a job coach. Job coaches work very closely with the managers in this program to ensure the success of each supported employee. And to be quite honest, most managers don't really have the time to fully train a new supported employee to the point where they're stable on the job. So a job coach is really vital to that success and their longevity. Job coaches also have very deep knowledge of a supported employee in their life outside of work, which again can be beneficial to the employer because it helps keep communication clear and they're able to advocate on that employee's behalf. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention here is that when there's a good job coach involved, supported employees can end up being some of the longest tenured and reliable employees that an employer has, which again has many benefits. They don't have to keep retraining people because they have a reliable employee. So the last area that I wanted to focus on, TJ, you can go to the next slide, is just more examples of different roles at Microsoft that supported employees have. Again, all of these folks work for different supplier companies to Microsoft, and they all have job coaches. So first you see on the screen here, this is Dwight Travis. He is a paint shop helper and he works for Gates Painting. On the next slide, we've got Ben and Kian, who are maintenance assistants. They work for CBRE's Common Area Reset Team. And their job is essentially to maintain the furniture on campus. Their roles are very detail-oriented and technology-focused, which you might be able to see in these pictures here. On the next slide, we've got another example of cafe bussers. This is Tara, Andy, Holly, and Mason. They all work for Compass Group at different cafes on the Microsoft campus. Outside of just general cafe cleanliness, they complete a lot of tasks that are in the kitchen. And they may also do pickup and mobile orders like Mason's doing on the right there. And then I've got another slide of examples. This is Kyle, Jason, and Brian. They're all groundskeepers and they work for Pacific Landscape Maintenance, doing landscaping. And just a fun fact is Jason in the middle there, he recently got certified to drive the Gator vehicle, which is like a kind of like a golf cart that they can go around and water plants and do different tasks. And so his job coach was heavily involved in him getting certified, making sure he knew how to park the vehicle, knew all the bells and whistles, and was able to drive that independently. So that's a really exciting win for him and just a unique contribution from a job coach. So, and we can go on to a final slide. This is Raha. She works for MV Transportation in their office. MV Transportation is in charge of all of Microsoft's shuttle vehicles and commuter buses, and so she does administrative work for them. So with that, thank you, and I'll take any questions.
I have a question. This is Eric.
Yes, Eric.
What motivates you in the job that you're currently doing?
The impact, for sure. I don't work directly with individuals with disabilities anymore, but the impact that we have, like I said, this is a global program that we're able to influence countries outside of the United States to hire people with disabilities is truly incredible. So that's definitely what gets me going.
Thank you. That's really awesome.
Yeah. And my manager Jillian's here, and she put a link in the chat to the Supported Employment Program website. So if you want to learn more about the program, you can view that there in the chat.
Okay. Well, as promised, I'm going to put in the chat a link of the employment providers here in King County. I'll just show it to you really quickly. So I mentioned that there's 25. Oh, that's pretty small. And if you're interested in learning more or talking with somebody, this would be a good start. You could also reach out to any of the presenters or myself if you'd like some more direction. And then we have 12 minutes for questions. Questions, thoughts, feedback.
TJ, I see a question in the chat. I know discrimination is not supposed to happen when supporting clients find jobs, but how do you deal with companies who aren't familiar or don't understand how to work with clients with disabilities? Someone else want to take that? Well, I'm happy to jump in. You know, I think that we all know that there's more education that needs to happen with, in all parts of society, but employers don't always know, and that's our job to help them to learn and be more accepting and inclusive in their hiring. And we as job coaches get to help them. We're there to help support them to learn and be a better employer. So I'm not sure that that's the best answer, but it's all individualized, and we work with employers to help them to build their inclusive environments for all employees.
Just add on to that a little bit. So what I typically do is if they get hired on, I kind of sit down with the who their boss would be, and kind of talk to them about, so what do you know about people who have disabilities? Kind of understand where their starting point is, what their understanding is, and then building on top of that. I definitely have had to save a job with one of my clients, and kind of explain to them how my client understands and processes things like that. So yeah, definitely first understanding where they're coming from, and then building on top of that to help them understand fully on how it would all work.
I have a question.
Right before we go to that, I think Kyle has one more thing to add.
Well, basically, everybody did a great job. But what is I'll ask you this. Anybody can answer it. What is the one most thing you like about what you do? And maybe one sentence to tell me what is the most thing you love to do about your job, and how satisfied are you with what you do?
I can't answer that. This is Eric. I'm satisfied in being able to see self-advocates growth around the advocacy that they're doing for themselves, and how awesome for people stepping into something different sometimes, that what makes a leader basically. And I think that's answering part of that question, I think.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
For me,
Anybody else?
Yeah, for me as an employment consultant, I feel like just being able to give others a voice, and having them be heard, and to just go alongside them and give any support that I can give them. It just honestly brings me joy every day. I look forward to coming to work, and I couldn't say that from some of my past employment. So that in itself, it drives me. And I just love coming to work every day because you never know what's going to happen. It's
That's true.
not redundant. So anyway, for me, that's my answer to that question.
Thank you all. I feel like everybody's passion shined through in their presentations. Milgo, I think you had a question.
Yes, I have a question. How you guys put kids who get seizures and unpredictable seizures? He's fine talking and communicating, everything is okay, but he can have a seizure by any time. So how you guys provide safe place to work, and what is the step the parent have to take it and the job search?
I can answer this one. I literally had to answer this question for a coworker today, so this is perfect timing. Again, it's very individualized. Everyone has unique situations and medical needs. So the biggest rule of thumb is that as employment consultants, we can't administer any medication or do any medical needs. So if someone is able we've had situations where someone like who has diabetes, they need insulin every 2 hours, then they unfortunately would only be able to work a shift for like an hour and a half. Um, or a caretaker or a parent or someone could come drive, give them their medication, give them their insulin, and then they could keep working. So it's really case by case. But for the seizures, we have one participant who works at a garden, and because he has so many seizures, his mom actually also volunteers at the same garden, so she's always on site. And so if he does have seizures or needs some medical attention, she's there. So it can look really different for everyone, but it's never limited anyone to be able to get a job. It's just finding that right fit spot and figuring out what support needs are needed. But we've seen a lot of people who've had seizures currently or in their past history and be very successful in their jobs. I hope that answers it.
Yes, thank you. Can I contact you later? You can give me the information.
Yeah, of course.
That would be nice. Thank you. Appreciate it all.
Any other questions? Thoughts, feedback?
Just putting it out there again. I'm more than happy to meet with any of you that is interested in being an employment consultant, whether that is in person, online, or just a phone call. I'm willing to answer any questions you have. Feel free to reach out to me. We'll be putting, I think my information is in the chat, but I'll put it in once again, at least my email, so you can get started in your communications. But yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Might not have an answer, but I'll research and get back to you, of course. So anyway.
Yes, and thank you for all being here. We're very happy, and it's a pleasure to be able to present the amazing work that we all do to you all. And we hope that you feel inspired to join us in our journey and our work. So please message me privately if you'd like this presentation or more information. I did put the vendors in the chat, and also they put their contact information in there. So.
And thank you all for joining us and listening to us, and hope if you're considering and being a job consultant or job coach or an advocate, all the best to you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.